Here I've got a stuck motor. Whoa, there we go. Hi there folks, and welcome to another episode of Michael's Backyard Marina. Well, I backed the camera way out, so I'm over here. Now look, I can look on my lens. I'm pinching my head. I'm pretty small over there, but it's big over here. And what have I got here today? I'm gonna start off with saying $300. That's 3 Benjamin Franklins is what it took to put this in the backyard marina. And is it awesome? I don't know yet. What it does have is a trailer, a boat with, honestly, what I'd call the glass on the outside of the boat is in really good shape. It's dirty. It's got the little, I don't know, green barnacle thing going on that you see everybody in all these videos power wash. I might do that. The floor, a little spongy, but, I'll bring you in here in a minute. I'm pretty sure it's a 1976 Mark Twain. And I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Twain, because I am not. As this video progresses and as I work on this boat, I'm going to educate myself on some Mark Twain alia. Mark Twain alia? We're going to get familiar with it, okay? But some of the things I see here which kind of trip. You guys hear them cicadas in the background? They just got quiet when I said cicada. They're like, meow, meow. I apologize, I can't make them shut up. It's the time of year for that, and it's in the evening, and they get loud. But I've been deliberately confused about what I want to do with this boat. And the reason I say that is the outside's pretty darn clean. It's not awful. And it has the Iron Duke in it, the 2.5 liter, 120 horse. And this thing has an Illinois number, IL. I live in the IA state. Picked this up from a guy, he picked it up from a guy. I don't know, no paperwork, zero. If I decide to do anything with this boat, I gotta come up with some papers, like that from the DNR in my state that says I can go get a registration for this boat. Being this boat is like this long, can you guys, it's like this long. 15 feet? I'm almost positive it's under 16. We'll pull a tape on it later. I promise I will. But it wasn't done awful and cheap so far. You know, I don't know where they were in the price scale, you know, of things. Because, you know, you got the, like the newer, you know, Crown line. Woo, money, dollar signs flying out of everywhere around me here. You know, this is dollar signs. Cobalt, dollar signs. You know, they were more higher end styles of boats. Even this one I've got that you've been watching videos on, you know, 50 years old. You look at the interior of that boat, the interior glass is finished with speckles and stuff. It's done right. There's none of this rough glass covered up with carpet to hide the lack of finish, you know. But, you know, this has got stainless louvers back here. This is riveted in. I mean, these are, yeah, stainless back here. And, you know, the bow cleats, or the, you know, the cleats, the chrome. Somebody over there talking. Cleats are over here doing cleat things, still look clean. The chrome and the polished aluminum and whatever's around this windshield still looks like it would polish right up like brand new. Mercy. I might have to go to my local courthouse and see if they can look up that number. and give me some information and see if I could reach out to possibly that owner and go, hey, would you mind if I drove over to your place in Illinois and signed me a bill of sale? Since it's last was known at this, I don't know, last known address type thing. Maybe give him a couple dollars for his, you know, problems and inconveniences, and maybe I can get the old DNR to issue me, the owner of this thing, if I decide to. I got to make sure it's okay. The floor, kind of this, but the way the bow is covered, the rot may be limited to the back. I don't know. I don't know. From the back of the boat, we're noticing that, nope, this isn't a jet drive unit. This is where the outdrive is supposed to be hanging out, but somebody saw fit to pull it off. It's in there. It has a stainless prop on it. I'm not saying the stainless prop is perfect, but somebody took the time to put a stainless prop on it. Somebody, you know, paid up for that. But then it's got this, a bicentennial America on Parade with, you know, Disney characters on here. 1776 to 1976. Would somebody literally want to screw, looks like self-tapping screws into the back of their boat with a license plate on it that if it wasn't a 1976? Now I pulled the rear engine cover and I pulled the, one might be original, one might not be original lounge seat out of it, because I just rocked them back and forth, they come right out. That tells you that the floor is pretty toasty, not good. But the more I'm hanging around a little Mark Twain here, the more I'm getting to like it. Now it did have a chrome piece around here and a ladder thing down here, and I let a buddy of mine have that when I thought I might not keep it, and there's a 92% chance I might not keep it. There's an 8% chance I hang on to it. But I gotta do a lot of serious self-reflecting. I mean, I've really gotta be, you know, if this was in like avocado green, game over, done, full restoration. Because ever since I've had that 1972 banana boat, I call the banana, the 1972 glass bar, I've been wanting a green, but I don't know why, but that yellow from that era, I want a green boat from that era that I can, that if the glass was as good on it. Now if this transom's rotten, when I get on the inside, game over. But if any of you know where there's a 1972 glass bar, I'd say 72 glass bar, 14 foot to 16 foot boat that's in green, like an avocado green. You know growing up, if you're my age, that your grandparents either had a pink bathroom, harvest gold, or avocado green, and the appliances and all that were similar. I'm looking for that color of a boat with good glass. I don't care if the inside's rotten. I will restore the inside. I'm not good at building this from scratch. I want good gel coat that I can buff and restore and bring it back to its natural glory in the 70s. But that's my pitch for you guys. I'm reaching out to my audience, and I want it for the low price of come get it, I can have it. I'll have a trailer or two that I can drag and bring it home. If it's just sitting on the ground, I'll drive a state away to just take a look at it and for the opportunity. Obviously pictures would be nice. You guys got my email down below in the description. Anyway, that's how you get a hold of me. Well, now, Stainless on this side too. It's got all the gauges. It's got keys. That's kind of a big deal. Sort of, kind of. Not really. This isn't a car. I could hot wire this very easily. Okay, what else? The trailer is actually a tube trailer, not channel. So that makes it a pretty, you know, more substantial trailer. And that's what I've actually been seeing on a lot of these older glass boats is they actually use tube versus channel. Channel's got a lot of flex, it works great. But I really like the tubed ones, that's for sure. But the welds better be sealed up because moisture gets in there and does ugly stuff. All right, let's take a peek inside. We're losing our daylight. Now, the glove box looks like it's been punched once. Or sorry, I probably hit my mic, didn't I? Now, the glove box, what is going by now? Combines on the road. The glove box looks like it's taking a knee probably, you know. Somebody hit a wave a little hard and their knee cracked it, maybe. You know, over the course of, let's just say it, 45 plus years, some things happen to boats. Steering wheel and all that stuff is there. All the instrumentation's there, the shifter's there. Even has probably a burnt out kitty fire extinguisher. And right over here down, let's just tip down a little bit. You see hints over there. Ooh, whammo, that's the outdrive. Now, skeg snapped off. I'm gonna repair that. Now there's been some people, I've showed how to weld up a broken skeg before, and what I did, people go, well, what if you don't have the piece to put back on? Well, there it is. There's no way I have that piece. But I'm gonna bring it back around to look beautiful. We'll do that. That's some good footage. This has a hydrofoil on it. Not sure. I've got one on my other boat. Works great on the Starcraft. The Cobalt doesn't really feel like it needs it, except for when you try to trim up a little much, it tries to cavitate. I might could get a little more trim out of it if I had one of those on it. I don't know. Probably not. Who knows? All right. The front of the boat. Let me move that cushion out of the way. Now what intrigues me about how this is set up, and I shouldn't say intrigues because I'm guessing there's thousands of boats. But a lot of boats have pockets up here and with drain holes and stuff like that, and you get a tremendous amount of rot going on up here. This whole front cavity down in this area where the strap's laying is nothing but solid fiberglass. It looks very polishable, and you know, it can make it I can make it happen. Yep, possibly. It's gonna get a little dark back here, guys. I apologize. There it is. The Iron Duke. Probably, I'm guessing 1976, 120 horsepower Merc Cruiser. I don't see any numbers. Now, some of them have a tag on them, some of them don't, depending on the year, the make, the model, who did it, and whatnot. But yeah, we got spark plugs. Spark plugs are in all the holes. That's good. Spark plug wires are just kind of like wherever they want to land. Not on the plugs right now, for whatever reason. I did pull one out so I can match it up and get me some new ones. I did. But yeah, I think we're gonna spend a little time on this one and see what I got. I'm gonna work on it. We're gonna get this running. Yep, that's a shop vac. Now, you guys might look at my shop vac and go, well, that's just such a old, tired looking shop vac. Well, it is old. You know, this thing is, yeah, 30, nope. 40, nope. Call it 37 years old at least. Thinking it's 37, 36 maybe. 37-year-old CRAFTSMAN shop vac. Still vacuums like it was when it was brand new. And I have sucked a lot of stuff through this vacuum. I ain't kidding you. Yeah, we're getting ready to put some nastiness through it again. I ain't kidding you. This thing's been in this little tent now for a week, drying out so I can vacuum, because it was pretty damp in there. But yeah, trim pump, hoses, toggle switches up there are all there, not broken off. All the wiring actually looks, let's just call it, for lack of a better word, unmolested. The wiring has not been messed with at all from the looks of it. Nobody's wired in a radio or cut in speakers or weird stuff like that. So I think we might have a pretty good chance at making it run. It's got a filter brand that is this blue. And that may be, once I spin it around, that might be a Purelator or a Motorcraft. I don't know. We'll look. But yeah. And yeah, what kind of oil am I going to put in this engine? I'll tell you right now. Rotella. I'm not sponsored by them, but I've learned a lot about Rotella in the last week or so. And with the comments you folks have left, I am convinced that's what I'm going to keep putting in these old birds in here, you know, these old engines. It's going to get Rotella because it has all the slippery agents and the zincs and the, you know, the sliding stuff. Okay. Well, I wanted to get this intro in before it got too dark. I wanted to show you what I'm calling the 1976 Mark Twain. And I'm going to see what I decide to do. It's kind of neat how these combing pads are on here. They're just screwed on here. That would be easy to, you know, put some more vinyl and make it fresh again. Put a couple of my, what I call my floating seat design in here. Maybe leave the engine wide open, uncovered. Let it talk to me on the water. Let's see what kind of speeds we can get out of this. Maybe play around with some prop pitches, and I don't know. But I can't put it on the water until I have it in my name, so. That wasn't 35 miles an hour, I'll tell you that. Okay. What else can I tell you? I haven't looked in the glove box yet to see what's in there, but I do know it's already paying back. On the floor over here, when I took the seats out, there was a quarter. And I thought on the other side I saw a penny. So now I'm no longer into this for 300 bucks. I'm at $299.74. Yep, that's not bad. I'll take that every day. Is that a good ROI? I don't know, return on investment? Maybe it's just a return on an idiot, because I keep buying these things. All right. Enough fun and games. I got to get the shop vac working and get it cleaned out in here so I don't have to, you know, waller around in what somebody let become a pig pen. All right. All right. 7 passenger. That's a lot of people in this boat. All righty, we're back out here in the old Mark Twain. And one of the first things I like to do, I've got a boat that I don't know anything about, other than the guy told me that it ran on starting fluid. That's not always a great sign. It's not always what you want to hear. But, you know, all these plug wires are already pulled off. At least the plugs are in there good and tight. But what I like to do is we're going to go ahead and pull the spark plugs out, and then we're going to run some fogging oil, spray a generous amount down in there. Now this one was loose because I did pull it out the other day just so I could get a number off of it so I could buy some more spark plugs. Now, unlike a motor I just did recently, half of this was buried back here underneath the housing. Well, they're really nasty looking. They're not rusty though, which is good. Now the last sticker on this boat expired 2017, so I can just assume that, you know, it's been 5 years since this boat had been ran and or put on the water. we're gonna see if we can bring her all the way back around. Don't know if we can, because you never know how it's been taken care of, what's been done to it, and all that fancy stuff. Now, any old fogging spray, engine store fogging oil, any of that stuff would work. And when you think you've got enough in there, put a little bit more. You really cannot overdo it at this point. So what we're going for is this, see if we can lubricate these cylinders. Make sure we're not going to do any damage that's not already been done possibly, but we don't want to make it any worse. The other thing about this boat that was kind of interesting is the fellow I got it from had put a drain hose off the back of the, I have no idea why, but a drain hose on the oil pan that ran out the back of the boat. So I got a new oil plug here. These are typically a 1/2 inch 20. So now that we know all the oil is out of this thing, we're going to go ahead and put this drain plug back in, and we'll end up sticking on a brand new filter. And some brand new oil. Drain plug blocked. All right. Now, since you can't get to the crank bolts on this one, not very easily, sometimes you can get away with just trying to turn. Oh, she's not moving. That didn't work. Let's try that one more time. Let's put a little more tension on the belt this time. Oh, that engine's not moving. Hot diggity. This might be worse off than I thought. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this front engine mount off here and just let this thing hang. It ain't gonna hurt a thing. The outdrive is already pulled off of it, so we really can't cause ourselves too many headaches here at this point. The old winds are whipping today. All right, now that I can get on this crank, maybe I can do something, maybe not. Oh wow, that is uber stuck. Oh, that ain't gonna roll over, is it? Huh. Well, that's kind of disappointing. Yeah, that motor didn't turn over at all. This motor's stuck as stuck gets. So, I guess from this point, there's no sense in getting crazy with trying to start it if I can't turn the motor over. And who knows how long it's been stuck. That's disappointing. I guess the next steps will be, let's just lift this engine out of the boat and we'll pull it apart and see what's up with it. All right, as we all know here, I've got a stuck motor. I did reach out to the gentleman that I bought this engine, boat, and trailer from and ask him about, hey, how long had it been since this motor had been turned over? Because he said it started and fired up on starter fluid. And he goes, couldn't have been more than 2.5 months ago. And as I received the engine, as you saw, the spark plugs looked like they were okay, no rust. Carburetor had a spark arrestor on it, so it should have been that stuck. Now, as you guys, if you're just now tuning in, realize that, hey, you don't have a front motor mount. Well, I removed it to gain access to this here front pulley. So I'm gonna put a little more pressure on it here. Hey, 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 hey. It moved. It moved. All right, we're back in business. I had to put quite a bit of pressure on that. Oh, it's stuck again. Let's go back the other way a little bit. Yeah, there's some stiffness there. So what I'm gonna do now, we're making headway. This is going from a negative to a positive, possibly. Since I just put fogging oil down the cylinders, and she's been soaking literally for about 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. And I want something that, if there's rust in the cylinders, I want something that kind of can break that down just a little bit. So I'm gonna put some, one of my favorite penetrants is PB Blaster. Revolutionary valve sprays upside down. Well, you just can't beat that, can you? All right, we're making headway. Because an engine that ain't stuck is possibly an engine I can make run. And I got a bore scope. I could look at all these here cylinders with my bore scope and get a visual on it before I spray it down. But yeah, let's just get her rolling over, because I haven't put any engine oil back in this yet. And the other downside, while I'm spraying this in here, you know, if you just spray starting fluid in there, starting fluid has absolutely zero lubricating properties whatsoever. It could actually just dry out your cylinders, depending on the condition of the oil and your crankcase and whatnot. So in this particular case, I'm kind of wondering, since it hadn't been that long, it had been sitting since it turned over, I'm just kind of wondering, is it a situation where the starter fluid dried the cylinders out pretty bad, and you know, this thing being parked outside with no engine cover, well, yeah, it had an engine cover. I take that back. I apologize. It did have an engine cover over the whole thing. It's now gone. There, that can's done for. But moisture, just regular, just humidity in raw cast iron will just rust. Let's see if I hit that tight spot again here. Yeah, it's a little snug right there. Boy, that's like a really, really tight spot. Yep, that's still kind of snug. It's moving, but it's snug. Well, we're gonna go ahead and put it right back there in the middle of the loose spot. Well, we're gonna let that PB Blaster do its thing. I'm gonna go ahead and just loosely put the spark plugs back in, just to keep, you know, the conditions a little nicer in the cylinders. Well, I feel that that's made a world of difference on this project, because it was going to be, honestly, I was at the point where I was just gonna pull the engine out, pull this boat out of the way, and just tear this block down right out here on the concrete underneath the canopy and just see what the heck went wrong. But there still may be some wrong in there. Don't know for sure. You know, one person's saying running, you know, running is two different things. Did it pop fire and spin a little bit, or did it run? You know, like me, I could actually take a bottle of 2-stroke and bottle feed something and keep it running. That's what I call running. Then it just needs carburetor work and some other miscellaneous issue things like that. Excuse me. But in this case, yeah, she's got a hard spot she's coming up to. There could be a ridge in the cylinder, a little rust ridge. So I'm hoping some of this PB blaster in there will actually start to break it loose a little more. So we're gonna let this sit all day. This isn't a fast process. If you got a stuck motor, if you watch some other people, follow other people, this is a process where you put some stuff in the cylinders. You know, there's people that put transmission fluid, there's people that put diesel fuel in there, you know, PB blaster, fogging oil, you know, basically anything to try to soak and soften the rust and the bond that the rust has to the rings. And but this one, we've broken the rust bond to the cylinders and the rings at this point. Doesn't mean the rings are moving freely within the piston ring groove. So we're, like I said, we'll put the PB blaster in there like we did. I'm gonna let it soak all day. I'll come back tonight and I'll try to roll this thing over. Once I can get a couple of, you know, 360s out of that crank, then we're off to doing something new. As far as, we will probably put some fuel to it, put some 2-stroke fuel down the old carburetor, because there again, the cylinders and the valve train could use all the lubrication it can get. At that point, right now, the oil is drained out of the crankcase. We'll fill that thing up with some Rotella was it T1, I think it is, straight 30 weight, and we'll spin it over and just use the starter to spin it over a few times. And if that sounds kind of okay, then I might go ahead and put a compression test on there just to kind of get an idea what the cylinders are. Yeah, they're going to be completely wetted down. You know, some people, I get comments here and there, oh, you just sprayed PB blaster or fogging oil in there. Yeah, your compression is going to be really, really good because you just lubed down the cylinders. Well, I'm here to tell you that, yeah, that's true. It will increase it some, but it won't bring a cylinder that's at 30 pounds up to 150. It just won't, because there'd be too much blow by. But what will give you an indication is what condition the cylinders are in. Now, I always go back and after I've run an engine and let it run and idle and throttle it up and down for over half an hour or longer and let her cool down, and then I'll check compression on a cold engine after all that. So, because then you're back to what I would call normal running conditions, right? Alrighty, well, that's it for now. We're gonna, by the time, you know, it's only a few seconds for you guys. For me, it might be 12 hours, it might be 48 hours, it could be another week. But I'm gonna keep working this engine over and seeing if I can get it to actually go all the way around. That's the goal now that we broke it loose. Yeah, it did take quite a bit to break it loose. But now I have hope. I'm happier. I was thinking this was gonna be just, oh, doggone it. But I think we got something that's gonna be, we can make run. Unless the hard spot it's hitting is a broken camshaft or you know, a connecting rod, but we can also reach in there and I can feel if all the pistons are going up and down. The one cylinder I saw was near the top, number 2. I saw stuff floating in it, so there's actually liquid floating in it right now, which I'm hoping is all PB blaster. If it was water, when I pulled those spark plugs out, those spark plugs would have rusted. Most likely would have been rusty. None of the spark plugs are rusty. That always gives me a high hope when I see that. So we'll see you in a minute. All right, we're back out here. It's the afternoon, and I'm gonna put a little mark. Let's just call it right here. Yep, there's a mark. Because I'm kind of curious how much movement I am getting from stop to stop here. Right there is stopped. Now we're gonna go counterclockwise. There's 90. There's 180. Oh, back to stop. So it goes about 180 right now is all. So it's got me curious. Is it valve or is it valve train related? Because you know you could have a pretty harshly stuck lifter possibly. So we're just gonna go ahead and take a look underneath this here valve coverish. Wow, I was stuck a little bit, but that's okay. Wow, look at that. That's clean. And see, there's condensation up in there. That's your culprit, condensation. Yeah, there's water all over these rock ores. Plenty of water. Well, moisture. It's not like it's pretty bad. It's not awesome. But you know, we could have a lifter. So I'm gonna kind of rotate this and we're gonna see what's moving in it. What isn't moving, eh? That's what we gotta do here. Okay, this guy's moving. It's gonna put a yellow dot on that one that I can detect moving. Well, I think I might have a couple of stuck lifters. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, I just saw this one move that wasn't moving a little while ago. We're gaining a little bit every time I go back and forth. That's a big silly head thing to do, huh? All right. Let's just see here. Well, that ought to make a difference. Now let's check for spark. All right, no spark in the battery. This ought to make a little bit of difference because I already see dash lights. We got hornage. Whoa, there we go. Well, that just blew garbage everywhere. You guys even have it on your little bit of Lindsay there. All right. Well, what does this tell me? Tells you, let's get a new oil filter and let's dump some oil down this pig. You guys down with that? All right, we gotta get you cleaned off here. The old mercury done unloaded on my camera lens. That's just bad etiquette. Let's yank off this here old whatever brand. STP. Ooh. Ooh. That's ugly. Now I do realize that once I run this for a while, I'm going to have to change this oil again because whatever's in this block is not what you want to have in your block. Seems like a waste of an oil filter, but you know, if the engine comes around, how much a waste could it have really been? Now we're gonna, I don't know, can I do this? Ooh. We're just gonna dump the old Earl right on top here and just try to make a little bit of a mess. All right, that is the hardest way to put oil in your engine there, buddy. But it's in there. Filter on, oil on. Now we're gonna turn the ignition on. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm looking to roll it over, see if I can actually build some oil pressure. And we'll see if the oil pressure gauge works And we're just gonna run this thing over. It's not gonna be great on the starter, I get that. But I just wanna, you know, let's give this thing some spins. We got an oil pressure gauge, so let's just whip her over. Now, as you guys can see on that distributor, we got spark. There we go. Boy, the oil pressure went through the roof. I mean, if the pressure gauge is somewhat close, we're hitting some 40 pounds there just whipping her over like that. Yeah, we're about a quart low there, but it's got oil on the dipstick. That's all that matters to me right now. But I saw some spark zippity-doo-don right around here, which is kind of woohoo. Let's do one more test here. Now this test is to check to see if your lifters, you know, if you got any flat lifters or a flat spot on your cam. And what I do here, you guys have seen me do this before, I'm gonna put a yellow stripe, pen stripe, right here on the old push rods. And as this thing is rolling around, and I'll be able to see better when I review this footage, to be honest with you. It's like, are the lifters spinning? Or, and I shouldn't say the lifters, yeah, are they spinning? And are my push rods spinning? They should be rotating, as this thing's rotating. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Now that we've given the starter a little bit of a break. We got a few of them that aren't crazy excited about spinning. Well, we got oil pressure, and from what I can see, there's some spark jumping and arcing here, and that's probably because of the moisture that's on everything. Got that old gas smell, and that could be what's coming up from the yep, the fuel tank. I probably should have unhooked that fuel tank. Yeah, because I can smell some. It's got some stank on it, for sure. All right. Well, it's getting kind of low light. I want to be back out here in bright light conditions. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the spark plugs back in. I think we kind of learned what we wanted to learn going on underneath the valve cover. And yes, I'm gonna stick this valve cover back on with its old gasket because it's still intact. It didn't break or tear. And I'm not gonna waste a new oil gasket till or valve cover gasket until I know that this engine is, you know, worthy of it. So far, I'm pretty happy with what we've done so far here. Well, first and foremost, we got the engine broke free, right? Secondly, we got oil pressure. Thirdly, I can at least know that this is kicking some spark around up here. We'll just have to dry it up and make sure that, you know, is it getting spark to the spark plugs, right? Okay. All right, next order of business, I'm gonna try to get a little Marble Mystery Oil. And I honestly don't care if I fill the cylinder up with it. You guys are gonna ask, well, don't you feel that that's too much? Nope. And here I am, I'm just gonna loosely put the spark plugs back in, and then I'll, tomorrow, before I take the spark plugs out, I'll grab this front crankshaft again and I'll spin it over. And if there's any left in there, I'm not gonna spin it over with the start. I'm gonna spin it over with my pry bar again. And if it hasn't all gone through, you know, I could potentially, you know, do a hydro lock, so to speak, and see if I can get some more of that stuff pushed past the rings, just to get all that lubed up in that cylinder real well. And normally if I was closer with my air hose and I wanted to, you know, run it out here, I'd take my air hose and just blow down through there on the compression stroke. So there's ways you can do different things. Now those are just hand tight here. Not going to put a wrench on it, no need to. Once I get this all settled into where I want to start it, I got a new set of spark plugs for it. All right, we're gonna call that for tonight. We're losing our daylight. And the other thing I'll do tomorrow, once I roll this over and spray all this stuff all over the engine again and all over the inside of the back of the boat, I'll take my brake cleaner, disconnect the battery, take my brake cleaner and just hose this thing down and just get rid of all the oil residue. That way everything I'm gonna have here is gonna be dry. We'll disconnect the fuel pump here and I'll bring in my remote tank, put that on here. I'll take the spark arrestor off and I'll get my little bottle, pop bottle, drill a little hole in the top of it, fill it full of some 2-stroke fuel, and I'll spoon feed it. And then I'll see if the old gas tank will take over, and we'll let that run through, and we'll run it for about 30 seconds. And if it seems like it's going to run halfway decent, or you know, even staggering along, I'll then connect some water up. I don't have an out drive on this boat. It's up here in the front. It's not on the back. So I've got a little adapter I made. I'll show you what I did to stick in the hole, put my hose in, and provide water flow for this here boat. And we'll go from there. And I'm just double checking back here. Let's get the old iPhone flashlight out. Here we go. Whoop, yep, that's it. Can't tell for sure if the manifold plug is in or not there or whatever. I might have to work on that. I can't tell. One thing's for sure is the intake exhaust manifold doesn't have a crack in it. I've seen these crack down here when they've had moisture in it. The block doesn't look like it's got a crack where a crack would normally be if somebody forgot to winterize or drain the water, or both. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that this floor is completely rotted out in this boat, because it, you know, it could have been a candidate for some restoration. Now, if somebody's interested in this hull, let me know. But the floor needs completely cut out of it. Stringers put back in it, re-glassed in, new floor glassed in, new motor support glassed in. You know, it needs a lot of, that's a lot of work to do that. I've done that on a boat already, and it's a lot of work. And I think it would be worthwhile doing on a boat that was, call it a unique style, limited edition. Really cool gel coat color on the outside that's, you know, retro, you know, something like that. But just I hate to say it, but just a plain old white Mark Twain boat with, I'd call it 85-90% good appearance outside hull gel coat that could be brought back around real nice. It wouldn't take much. Got good glass in it. Seems kind of a shame to just, you know, haul it to the dump, but I know what it takes to put a floor in. I know how much money it takes, and at the end of the day, I don't need a boat like this with, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 wrapped up in it, because the chemicals and the glass and time and effort and materials is not a cheap venture, not at all. Reason I say that, I did that on the Banana. I know what it costs to get after that and to do it right. And this boat, I think, is just going to be a donor boat that's going to give me a trailer, an outdrive, and possibly another good running Mercruiser. So the other things we're going to be doing with this boat or this engine is, after I get it running, because if it's got compression, it will run. I will make it run, rest assured. And then we'll check compression on it. We'll set the timing on it. We'll do, you know, we're going to do some other kind of neat stuff. We're not going to put electronic ignition in it yet or anything like that. But, you know, that'll be a candidate for pulling this out, putting it on the engine stand, and waiting for a boat of this nature that needs a 120 horse, that has a blown 120 horse, but the rest of the boat's good, and they're out there. I'll come across it, guarantee. All right. Well, thank you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. The reason I'm putting that mystery oil in there right now is I want that to soak in there, and I've got time. And the reason I say I got time is because I'm going to take the old 1973 Cobalt out tomorrow morning, and I'm going to have all night tonight for this to soak, and I probably won't be back in the yard again working on this till tomorrow afternoon. So we'll get almost, you know, 18 hours of soak time here. And plus, when I pull these plugs out and start looking down these cylinders, or, you know, with a bore scope or with my flashlight to see how much liquid's in there, I'll kind of give me an indication of what conditions. Overnight, this amount of liquid should leak past the rings. It should. If it's not, it's kind of interesting, because the other thing that, after doing what I just did, this boat had all kinds of, like, I would call it rusty spray, you know, coming off of the coming out of the cylinder bores. And typically that's a good indicator that there was rust in there before, because I saw it all over here, and I just did it again. Obviously it wasn't as severe as what I saw residue left on here when I first cleaned this boat up. So we'll just go with that. Obviously the rear cylinder itself could be a little suspect, but these old Iron Dukes, they will surprise you. We'll see you tomorrow. First thing I'm going to do, since I'm back out here, is I'm going to disconnect the fuel pump from the tank. So as I'm turning this engine over, I'm not going to continue to pump this nasty gas that's in the tank up into the carburetor and, you know, kind of hosing down the cylinders with it. We need to stop that now. Ouch. I guess I didn't need the skin on that knuckle. Owie. Okay. Yeah, that smells pretty bad in there. Let's go ahead and yank these spark plugs back out. And let's take a glance down these cylinders. There appears to be a lot of liquid still sitting inside here, so I'm going to go ahead and roll this over slow with the pry bar. Whoa, there we go. Well, I'll tell you, it does feel pretty smooth right now. gonna go ahead and make a mess here and just wind this puppy up with the starter. Blow the cylinders clear. That's just gonna make an awful mess. Well, I cleared her out pretty good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this distributor cap off, and we'll take a look at the points real quick. And I'm gonna bring it up to top dead center, because this is number 1 in some books, this is number 1 in other books, so I'm just gonna see which one's number 1 so I can make sure I get these plug wires back in the right spot. The other thing I like to do when I take this off is you can just lift this off carefully. This wire should come with it, like that. And I'm basically looking down here at these advance weights, and just to see if they move freely, which they do. I see a little bit of rust, like some condensation was in there, made them a little rusty, but they move freely. That's what I'm looking for this startup. We can pay closer attention to those guys later, which is not a problem. See, there's my timing mark at top dead center, and I'm pointing right here at what I'd call number 2. So we know that now that this is number 1, 3, 4, 2 is going to be the firing order. That's fine. We'll just work with it as is. I'm going to go ahead and grab me a little piece of emery, stick in there, kind of shine them points up a little bit, just to give us a little bit of a shot here. I got a little 320 in here, and all I'm going to use is the pressure of the point spring itself to create drag. And by doing it together like this, it kind of keeps the surfaces in parallel. Wow, they really weren't that dirty. I'm actually pretty impressed with how clean it is. Then what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my shop towels here and stick in between the points and drag that through, if I can get it in there. Now that we got this, we know where number 1 cylinder's at here. My timing mark's over here on top dead center. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and roll this over until I see the points open. Right there, it's open. That might not be top dead center, but it's on the top of the lobe of the cam, which that's just fine. And then I can check the gap. There should be, I believe it was 22 thousandths. We'll just kind of see where we're at. See, we're a little tight. Which, if the points aren't opening the right amount, it could also, you know, that impacts your point timing, your dwell, you know, just fun stuff like that. Well, the inside of this cap looks like brand new. The outside not so much, but the inside does. Now that we have established we've got the points set at the proper gap, and that we know where the number 1 top dead cylinder sit, top dead center, and what plug wire it is, we can wire the plug wires properly. I'm gonna go ahead and stick 4 brand new spark plugs in here. These are the AC Delco's R44 XLS. I'm gonna give ourselves the best shot at it, you know, having a good spark. See as how the old spark plugs are, you know, let's just call them, they're wet, they're fouled, they're old, and they're nasty. And now that we've blown all the cylinders out by rolling it over, yeah, she's gonna smoke a little when you fire it up, guaranteed, but that's okay. We're not going to ruin these plugs by running it with a little bit of, you know, a little rich to start with. We can always check the spark plugs after we've run it a while just to see what kind of mixture we got going and just see how they look. And right now we're just trying to do what I would call minimal effort just to see if this thing's gonna run and, you know, make sure there's no knocking sounds, or the fact that we got maybe a, you know, we got good oil pressure, so I'm not anticipating any, you know, connecting rod noises or lifter noises at all. Sound like it pumped up pretty good. All right, so this is number 1. This is number 3, number 4, and number 2. You guys think she'll pop with just the garbage that's in the carburetor right now? I'd say we wind it over a few times and let's just see if it reacts at all. Because I know I pumped some skunky old gas out of the tank up in there, but see if it makes compression and pops. You ready? I'm not sure if I am. You trying to run? Yeah, there's some smoke coming out of the back. What? Told you she'd be a little smoky out the back. Well, that's almost like it's gonna run. Let's get this thing off and let's get some good gas down the skillet, and let's hook up a gas line to this guy. A little bit of water. Goodness gracious. She sounded good. Not a single sound of bad. All right, I got water running out there a little bit, not a crazy amount. Fuel line hooked up. See what it does. Not sure it's picking up. Yep. Let's put some right down the old gullet here and see what she does. Key on. Remote starter engaged. Bring it again. Man, we're burning off a lot of stuff. Well, she's not wanting to run without being bottle fed. That tells me the carburetor's not doing a whole lot of nothing. Let's go ahead and turn some water on. All right. right, what do we know? We know that the carburetor isn't carbureting. The exhaust manifold feels pretty good. Water's running through it. I can put my hand on it. It should have been so hot I couldn't touch it if it wasn't working properly. Not much there in the thermostat housing yet. We got fire. Obviously, there's a lot of blow-by coming out of here, a generous amount. So that would tell me that the rings could be shot and all that fun stuff. But now that we've run it, what I'm going to do next, and this will be for the next video, we've made this thing run. It was stuck, but I have a feeling the cylinder walls might be a little toasty back there. But now that we've ran it, we can disconnect the fuel. See if I can do it without ripping my knuckle open again. Come on, let go. But get the battery completely disconnected here. We'll get my remote starter pulled off of here. So there's a lot of blow-by, and you know, in the long run, there's really no harm. We could have a plugged filter up here. If this has got a filter in it here on this one, we could have a stuck needle. We could have a float bowl that's not working properly. We could have an accelerator pump that ain't doing what it's supposed to be doing. You know, it could just be a plugged jets. Yes, I didn't pull the line loose. What I can do is I can pull that when I get this off. I might go ahead and start it, or you know, turn it over to see if I can get a the pump. See if the pump is actually pumping anything at all. But she smoked a lot when I fired her up, obviously. But then it didn't smoke any after it burned off all the stuff in the cylinders, which that's a plus, right? And so I think we got some information out of here that we needed to know, which is it'll run. Do we have any good compression? I don't know. You saw it back pop a couple times. That's because I'm feeding it in a terrible manner with fuel. Plus, the timing could be off a little bit. Plus, there could be some blow-by, but I'm going to say it's more timing than anything, possibly. I haven't run into one of these that I've picked up yet that the timing was actually right on, but obviously it was good enough to start and run. I think that'll be next steps in part 2, is we're going to rebuild this carburetor. We're going to check for fuel, and we're going to check for compression. Now, even if I got low compression, because there's a lot of blow-by coming by here, maybe if this thing warms up in cycles, the rings might break free a little bit. We can put some treatment in the fuel and run it to see if we can get those rings to come around. It's possible. It's possible. I didn't see a bunch of blue smoke going out the back. So, yeah, it could be valve train. You know, let's explore together. Let's learn together. At this point, we know she runs, and it's not stuck. And I ran it, you know, this whole bottle I ran through here, bottle feeding it. That was all 50-to-1 two-stroke mix out for my chainsaw. And I also got what's in the tank that I'm pumping through there is also a 50-to-1 two-stroke mix. So I'm confident the cylinders are lubed. And I'm not worried about, you know, I'd love to run it a little longer to get some heat built up in it to get the condensation out of here, but that's okay. The condensation that's there now, if there's any, isn't going to cause me any problems. I can pull this valve cover back off, and I may do that next go round just to see how wet everything is up here, just to see it, make sure the oil pump was, you know, doing what it needed to do. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That was fun to get this thing running. It was not fun getting it unstuck, but now that it's unstuck, you know, this engine may not ever come back around to be what it needs to be. It may use some oil. It may be a little lower on compression. It may be a little lower on horsepower. But if you've got a boat that has a blown motor and you got, you know, it's going to take you all summer to get it rebuilt because of machine shops and backlogs and everything else going on in life, this might be an engine you throw in, you know, just run the crap out of it for a season and yank her back out when you got your good engine done. You know, there again, $300 for the whole boat. I still got an outdrive that's probably in, I haven't seen too many of them trashed out. The only ones I've seen trashed out are the ones that I drained and they had water in them. If the oil comes out clean, it's a good chance, you know, and there's plenty of oil in it, good chance the outdrive gearbox is good. But yeah, we got some more coming. Part 2, we'll do the carburetor. We'll do some timing. We'll see if we can get this thing pumping, you know, running under its own power where I'm not, you know, drip feeding it. And we'll see if we can get this thing wrangled back into something that's going to be pretty cool. And when that's all said and done, we'll check to make sure the alternator's alternating and see what kind of power it's putting out. And we may have a whole little ensemble that's mediocre, pretty good. Notice there's a lot of blow-by coming out of that vent. But to be honest with you, I don't know how much is normal. I really don't. I know they have it there for a reason. Was that a lot or not a lot? If you guys can see it in the video, let me know what your thoughts are. Alrighty, I think we're gonna call it a night. I'm gonna get this, film to the cutting floor here and edit it and get it ready to post for you guys. But yeah, I'm happy with the headway we made from being a completely stuck motor to a motor that's running. That's a win. Yeah, and right now, the money I have in this engine, I'm not out much, right? Like I said, $300 for the whole boat. I've put a set of spark plugs in it. I put $18 worth of oil in it and I don't know, $8 oil filter. Less than 50 bucks in this thing so far to find out if it runs. I'm not unhappy about that at all. You guys get out there and have some fun. Get out there and find your own $300 boat and just, you know, learn with it. You know, one of the nice things about something like this is it's $300 and you can learn a lot from it. And a $300 lesson is a good lesson. And that way, you know, next time when you're looking for a boat or motor, you know what you're looking for. Now, I notice there's no cracks, no water leaking where it wasn't supposed to. And I'm going to show you real quick how I run these without the outdrive on and how I get water up through the engine. But yeah, I'm excited. We're moving forward. You guys get out there. If it ain't broke, fix it till it is. This is Michael saying thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe. Help out the channel a great deal by just doing that alone. You don't have to do anything else. I'm not pushing any merch. Maybe in the future, but I'm not pushing any merchandise. So follow the links below for things I use in this, or items I used are in the description below. If you want to participate and buy some of the stuff I bought, a lot of these are affiliate links. Don't cost you a dime more. Helps the channel out a little bit when you do use them. I get just a little bit of commission off the sale. If you want to help the channel out, that's one of the best ways to help it out besides a thumbs up and a subscribe. Well, we'll see you on the next video. A little tech tip. Here's what I use. I've got this piece of PVC pipe that I use for some of my other stuff, you know, the cover supports. I've sanded it down so it has a little bit of taper to it, so I can just give it a good old wedge it up in there. And then I've got my garden hose with a on-off valve there that I can just stick right in there, and it just kind of hangs in there. Nice thing about it not fitting real tight is when I turn this on, it doesn't build up too much pressure. It lets the excess water come out this way, and it also, see, you can already see it's flowing through there. Wow, there's some big chunks of rust in there that came flushing out. At least one piece. But yeah, that's how easy that is to do. That's how I do it. And you can run it as long as you want that way until you get your outdrive back on. One tip from me to you.
you.